Oppenheimer was exactly what it was supposed to be. They started off with an intro that was full of a whole bunch of scientific, patriotic, more scientific mumbo jumbo that made no sense at all if you don't know anything about physics and whatnot. But the rest of the movie was a great retelling of one of the biggest points in American history in regards to stuff that America does. Zelmay?
It's your boys that made looking cute, looking clean, looking sexy. You know how we do. Of course, y'all heard from the legend himself, the one and only Unico Williams. How you doing today, Unico?
I'm doing well, and I just found out that I'm pretty good at doing shit on the fly.
That's what you hear.
When it's unexpected, when somebody just walks in your classroom, when you just unexpectedly be the best in your field, and nobody in their field is in that particular country, but you moved there. Sometimes you just gotta bob and weave and roll with it. What up, so, man? I'm good, man.
Yeah, I do. I throw them into the water and see if they swim. That's my daddy taught me.
Wait, what?
The sharecropping back in the day.
Wait. I feel like Gilbert got.
I throw them on the side of the interstate and see if they can walk 600 football field. That's how you train a man.
Right. Explain.
We're talking about Oppenheimer today.
Well, I thought we were talking about Miles Morales. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Okay, yeah. Oh, the nuclear bomb story. The story of the Manhattan Project, man.
Yeah, we got Oppenheimer. He went to a school. He was bored because he's a genius, bro. He's a genius. He was like not interested in the school, and he was struggling. He had mental health issues and all that.
I know all about his host. Like, I really resonated with him. Like, school is boring. It's the social aspects and doing stuff is the weird thing. But then you become a womanizer.
Yeah, he had a tutor.
See, I'm trying to catch you off guard at this point because that's where I'm going. So follow me. So yeah, we're talking about Oppenheimer. We're talking about the leader of the Manhattan Project. And if you know about the Manhattan Project, cool. You just know about a whole bunch of nuclear whatever. But now we're talking about the man, the person. And that's where Zelmay comes in. What, he just some kid from New York that did what?
Yeah, he was basically homesick. He had anxiety. He wanted to go back to New Mexico from when he was a kid. He rode horses and doing all that. Now he's more of like a teenager, and he's out here doing his physics out here in this Cavendish laboratory under Patrick Blackett. Shout out to them. And that dude was the man, and he was asshole to him. He's like, I don't want to do this. And so he ended up leaving after doing some school, going out to California, taught there some physics at the University of California, Berkeley, one of the top schools in the country at the time.
Did he ever go to Europe for any reason whatsoever and find somebody that would, influence him to get better at being a physicist?
Oh yeah, he did. He met Jean Tatlock, a member of the Communist Party. y'all done seen it, and he met the Katherine Pugh. Shout out to her because I have never seen a woman ride a man and he like I am.
Listen, guys, listen. What I'm trying to get. Man, hold on. Me and Zelmay are just.
You gotta do it.
I'm sorry. We've been off a couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? Well, not off, but we just.
No, you have become deaf when you in there, bro.
The thing is what I was getting at is the fact that Oppenheimer actually did a lot of work in Europe, and that person actually did a lot of like great things and actually inspired him to keep on going into theory because he's a theorist. Oppenheimer is, and then he would come on back to America and then go to Cal Berkeley, and then that whole thing happened. His older brother actually is a big guy too, but let's not forget we're in a war and there's this new thing called communism and everybody's like getting on board. It's not about just Russia. America had that issue too, but we get to Cal Berkeley, which is a very open college, if you will, liberal college, if you will, And so
By the
there's
way,
some
hold
people.
on. By the way, I want y'all to know the reason they ain't know it because the movie ain't know it. It switches back and forth from time to time, frame.
It's weird. It is weird. So
It's
like the the basis of the movie is he's in a bureaucratic meeting where they're trying to take away his credentials and make him not seem credible anymore after World War II.
yeah.
Now, it's showing the lead up to that with some of these people that he's meeting in his flashbacks and then what they're saying currently in this bureaucratic meeting. Now, getting back to it, Oppenheimer was banging chicks and he's smart.
By the way, the reason I did bring up that Katherine woman is because the I am death. Say it to me, I am death. The reason I bring that up is because she is important to the final part when they're doing bureaucrat. You were sleeping with communists. Tell us the truth. You were sleeping with the communists. Basically,
And
just
I just have one more thing to say about that. That is a Easter egg because for years people thought that Oppenheimer said that, but he didn't say that. He said something else, but people use that. But he said something else that in Bangladesh language or whatever, just throwing it out there. But it's a Easter egg for people that already know this story because people are already like, he never said that because he didn't.
yeah.
But
You also have Leslie Groves, who approached him to become the leader of the Manhattan Project. Because y'all know the stories. It's throughout long. We cannot go throughout the story.
wait, that wasn't the guy that played in the Nazi movie? Not Brad Pitt. You know that Nazi movie? What was it called?
Leslie Groves
What
was
was it
Matt
called?
Damon. Matt Damon.
So was it played by? Was he play? That was Matt Damon, right?
Matt Damon played Leslie Groves.
Wow.
And the
Always against the Nazis.
And Robert Downey Jr. played Lewis Strauss, who at the time was trying to basically get
That was Robert Downey
Oppenheimer.
Jr.
Lewis Strauss.
But that was Robert Downey Jr. that played him.
Yeah.
That is an amazing makeup job. I did not know that until today. We're just all going to learn a whole bunch of stuff today, guys.
But yeah, Robert Downey Jr. played Lewis Strauss. Lewis Strauss was trying to get his credentials taken, so he set up this whole thing. Is why they having this whole meeting. The whole purpose at the beginning of the movie throughout, and he's trying to get him out. All because he thought he turned Albert Einstein against him in this conversation that we hear. They show the conversation at the beginning, and they show the first part of it. And they say, remember to make sure the world don't end, blah, blah, blah. They having this,
Yeah.
and then at the end, they show what he really said. Like, you will be culpable for it if the world ends. And then Oppenheimer says what he says. He's like, I think you were right about what we did. And so he gave that the saying at the end, and then but Lewis Strauss the whole time, the whole reason he was in this situation because Lewis Strauss had these people set him up, know he was sleeping with the communists, had all this, had this dude out here, what's his name? Who was he played by? The
I can't
Senator
believe that
Aide.
was RDJ, bro.
It was the Senator Aide. I don't know. They don't really have his name. They never really said his name. They did say his name one time. I don't think they didn't say it no more. I was trying to
I
look.
thought it was like Leonardo DiCaprio the whole time. That's what that was in my head when I was watching it.
Yeah.
That was with Strauss, his like advisor, if you will. That who you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had Gordon Gray, and you had played by Tony Goldwyn. Tony Goldwyn's a good actor. They had amazing actors in the movie. I just want everybody to know.
The guy that plays Huey, he was in it.
Yeah. Who else was in this movie?
Huey from one of our favorite shows. By the way, stay tuned. We're definitely hitting y'all with a new Invincible. We're back. Invincible's back.
You had John Gollins who played Ward Evans. Right, they had a whole list of A-list actors in this movie. You had Ted King play Senator Bartlett. He did amazing his job. Everybody. You had Emily Blunt, who is one of the people they wanted to play Miss Fantastic.
Yeah, Miss. Yep.
But they saying that the woman in Mission Impossible, the blonde hair, is gonna be the one to play her most likely. But they just switched on them. But she did amazing. By the way, Emily Blunt did an amazing job when she came and cried when they were like, "Did you sleep with that communist?" And he was like, "I did." Why did you have them bring our lives all the way through this? For what? Security clearances and for credit? And it was a great scene. But But basically, Lewis Strauss was trying to ruin Oppenheimer's career just because he wanted credit. And he like, we're gonna make him irrelevant because he told Albert Einstein about me, and then Albert Einstein. What happened with Albert Einstein? We saw at the end of the movie why. Because when Lewis Strauss walked up to Albert Einstein, he ignored him. I don't know if y'all caught that. Like he said, Robert must have said something about me reason Albert Einstein didn't want to talk to me. So the whole thing is because Albert Einstein didn't want to talk to Lewis Strauss. This man whole like from 1963 to 64 was hell just because this man wanted to talk to Albert Einstein. He ignored him. Lewis Strauss a pity man.
Man, I got to tell you, but obviously Oppenheimer got the good ending. You know, he became a hero, or in a sense, you know, I don't want to get into like a history lesson here, but this movie 100%, it taught me so much. It taught me to look at the past. You should look at the past because people had to go through certain things in that moment, which was their present. But now we live in our present and we can look at our past to see how we got to this moment. I'm 100% here for it. But man, this movie, like, because they like, if you have no interest in like theory and nuclear weapons and all that stuff, like in how atoms work and fission and all that stuff, you have no interest in that. Yeah, it's going to bore the shit out of you the first 20 to 30 minutes of the movie, maybe even 45, and be honest, because they had to build the world real quick. But after the world building was done, they actually got into it and had a really great story telling about like everything that happened after you get past the science mumbo jumbo, after you get past all that stuff that you don't really care to know about. But what ended up happening for me is I started looking at like, man, that is deep level Kira level planning that Strauss did. Like that was wild.
My
This
man
dude got
yeah,
deep.
like this dude set up. He had this dude in the room looking from the corner. What is he doing? Where he going? That man had people set up in every scene of every time he did something. Strauss had somebody to do it 8 years later, like in 1960 something, just to have somebody ready just to snitch on that man so he don't look credit and Strauss can get out of credit. By the way, shout out to Harry Truman because he thought Oppenheimer was a bitch.
Oh, let's like, I mean, it so it made me think about that.
Harry
When
Truman
we
was
have our presidents, are they just people or are they about what they be talking about? I don't know if I remember because I wasn't there when Truman was there. But was Truman a dick when he was running for president? I don't know that.
I don't know. That man said Oppenheimer came out there. He like, you think it's your fault? It's the man that pulled a trick. Get this. He basically said, don't ever let that.
He said, "Get this cry. Don't let that cry baby back in here." Is what the exact words were.
Oh, we gonna.
And so
Harry Truman was a dog. We ain't gonna let him out.
He's a dog. Like I didn't know whether to respect him for that because he said because there was a point after because the whole point was like, listen, we need to let these places know what we can do to them and what will happen. And so they dropped it once, and he's like, no, but you need to make it happen twice to let them know that we can keep on doing this. So they dropped one, then they dropped the second. Japan, that's what this whole thing is about, is atomic weapons. And so, you know, when they wanted to make an even bigger weapon, Oppenheimer was like against it because like, do you know what we just did? Because what we just did, somebody else is going to try and figure out a way to do it. Just like, you know, how Zelme and I are right here doing things in our respective offices and our workspaces, whereas you could only do this in a TV studio. The chase is somebody's going to always try and get better than the next person. And that's what like Oppenheimer's like, damn, by us doing this, there's going to be people that chase this. And so now the only thing that's keeping us is at a standstill is this ultimate weapon that was made. I think we have a much strong. Do you think we have a much stronger weapon at this point than what happened?
No, they said in the movie. They mentioned it was when he was getting things. You met the guy and what's his name? The
Russian guy with the glasses?
No, he's American. Teller. Edward Teller.
Teller. Yeah.
You met him in the movie, and he was like, "Yo, don't make the hydrogen bomb." He like, "I'm gonna make this. I'm better than you." Basically, that's his attitude. But he came years later though. But
I mean,
Edward Teller came and made the hydrogen bomb, which then Russia got a hold of, and then everybody had an arms race, and then that's what led to the Cold War.
the Cold War was like, bro, I'll throw this at you. I'll throw this at you. Okay, I'm gonna put that in Cuba and tell them point it at you because I'm childish. Bay of Pigs was crazy. Anyway, like that was a weird time in history. They really could have made a lot of mistakes and actually messed the whole world. Like,
I think
we might not exist right now, Zelmay, if they didn't come to their senses back in 1945, which we are way more smart than then, like now than they were back then, right?
I think they knew what they were just calling chicken. Ain't nobody gonna do. You want to end the world? They just end the world, all. They just all send nukes to each other. Let's just end it.
Because that can happen, right? That's a possibility.
Because if you send a nuke at us, we send a nuke back, and that's gonna be.
Is anybody wild enough to do it? They thought Korea was North Korea.
That might be the only dude crazy enough to do it, and he might do it right before he dies because he don't care about his people. But hey, listen, I'm about to pass.
That's a real possibility, though.
I 100% he'll do it before he pass. He just be like, hey,
you think he'd be like,
set this motherfucker, and then pass away. And like, I don't. Let's leave.
I'm already dead. Who cares what happens to the rest of the world?
You know he don't care about his people, so you think he care about that shit? He people starving. He fetish. They gonna have us banned in. They can't watch.
Hey, yo, I'm kind of like think that I'm gonna witness the end of the world. I think our age, we're gonna.
We hope not.
But for real, bro. Like after watching this movie, do you think that it's gonna be our generation that sees the end of the world?
Speaking of, I'm gonna give some pros and cons. Joe can give some, and I don't think so. I think people too scared. But I don't know. Maybe, like I said, if that dude decides he crazy, but I don't know if it's big enough. I don't know if he got enough power to do it as much. Damn it, he'll probably do it with just in North Korea and that be in everybody else. But this is stupid. We ain't doing this.
I think he would just try and shake it up.
And then I don't think it worked.
It would have to come from America.
Yeah, or Russia, somebody crazy like that got enough firepower to actually pull it off.
You on your deathbed, you that petty, you do it, right? Is it?
It's gonna be in his country because they ain't got really enough firepower to really do some damage. But they're in the whole area of people, and then it just be oh, this country gone. Might well mark it off the country map. And Russia and China ain't finna help. They ain't doing that. So that's why I don't know if it's gonna end, but he might do it. I got some pros and cons. Then we're gonna address the one question everybody had, and it will be out of here. Pros. Yeah. I already said one, saying I'm deaf while getting rolled is wild. The incredible acting throughout this movie.
It was for TikTok, y'all. This part is for TikTok.
Like I'm just saying, hey, getting rolled while saying I am death is crazy. Can you say it to me again? I have become death. It's so wild, but incredible acting throughout the movie. Robert Downey Jr. All of them did amazing job. Give Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Scott Grimes, all of them did amazing in this film. It was pretty accurate history-wise because I'm a history nerd and I watched all the documentaries on all this, so it's pretty accurate. Was some stuff that was shaky, but it was pretty accurate. It was interesting throughout. It was filmed incredibly well, going back and forth in the future, which is very hard to do. I give them credit. It felt eerie throughout the movie, and that's the good. And the con is sometimes at certain points in the movie, you just be like, it'll get back interesting, but then certain scenes you'll be like, you didn't have to put this in. So that's my only con. Everything else was great. It's a fantastic movie. But the only con is certain points, even at the end, it was like, did you have to put this extra? Yeah, can we get back to Strauss and Oppenheimer and see how this ends? Because I kind of want this scene to just be over with. Because it is 3 hours. But then they'll bring you back with Strauss and this little con plan that he had with the government being suspicious and doing some shady. And then you got convinced with the Harry Truman thing. And then you're like, oh, Harry Truman is being the Oppenheimer. That's crazy. But they'll bring you back from some of those boring scenes. So that still did good. Even though sometimes, I'll tell you, sometimes you feel, even like Joe said, the first 45 minutes, sometimes you're like, you could have skipped it, part. You could have skipped it, part. But other than that, great movie. Any pros and cons for you, Joe?
Pros for me is that it was a very well told story. I enjoyed it, and it's one of those movies that when I'm not going to put insidious on the level of this, but it's one of those movies that make you go back and not insidious. What's that one movie? The Haunting or something like, or it's about that movie about that husband and wife that go off and find these haunted things or whatever. I can't.
I
It's
can't
not the
think of it.
haunting.
I can't
The
think of it right now.
Haunting or something. Anyway, it's one of those movies that like make you check out the historical accuracy of it. But the thing is, in order for you to go back and check out the like Google the actual event, is if the movie was good enough, and that's what that movie did. But I will be honest with you, um, if I didn't have an interest in that aspect of science and stuff, like I feel like it would have been really hard. This is my con here. It would have been really hard for me if like say I didn't go to movie theaters and it was a Netflix and chill night. It was definitely the chill part was gonna come real quick. You know what I'm saying? I'm at that net quick. But it's actually like if you care about that aspect of science, you actually will be in tune to the movie. So I kept on like hanging on with my limited knowledge of how that aspect of science works. But I do have an interest because of just that, like the like atomic bombs and stuff like that. I have an interest in how they figured that out in 1940. But also, shout out to Metal Gear Solid and Hideo Kojima that also piqued my interest into the nuclear wars race. So that's why I hung on as long as I did. And once I got past the science part and some of the romantic nonsense, yo, it became a really good movie. Like once I get to Alamasos or whatever it's called, going out there, building a city. You know what I'm saying? It reminded me of Nuketown of from Call of Duty and stuff like that. So
Might
it
be on
just
Game
became
Pass again.
because like even after they achieved it, even after they dropped the bomb, even after it was like Japan has surrendered, it even still started continuing to get better even after that. And I was like, there's another story outside of this story that you just told us for the last 2 hours. This
Yeah,
movie is good.
yeah. Strauss. The last hour is basically Strauss trying to set up Oppenheimer, and you start seeing the people he set up around him to set him up. So that made it like more. That made it like, oh, it's a government set up to stop Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
So he
like
created.
I like you don't know that. And then that's why I said in my short on Unico Williams on my YouTube channel is that's where I was like, it told you some stuff about your government.
And I want to. The last thing Joe mentioned it toward the end. Unico had mentioned it. This is one of the take. Just saw up an in-depth character exploration of people who built the atomic bomb, a weapon of mass destruction that killed 250,000 Japanese civilians. Film is thriller and features zero Japanese people. I want you to understand the only story of Japanese people that Oppenheimer was a part of was them being set on fire and poisoned to death. I don't know if you wanted to actually see that because he had no other interaction with Japanese people at all. I'm just saying the only time you can actually see is him watching the bomb explode and watching them get tortured and him watching it. Because this is his movie. I don't know how you. I saw Grace Randolph say it and she lost 70. She's like, did it need that scene? And everybody was 75% said no because it's an Oppenheimer film. Like, why would you need that? It's not a World War II film. Even though I know that's his biggest accomplishment. But again, why would you show any Japanese people unless you wanted to show them and the effects of it? But that'd be the only time they'll be in the whole movie because again, if you watch the film, you know it was against Japan and Germany. Most of the time they talked about Germany and Russia for the majority of the movie, and didn't mention Japan at all until the end. Until you start getting that point where like Germany gave up, Japan won't. So we got to make them give up. And how we gonna do it? Can we threaten them? Can we do this? Other than that, they didn't barely mention Japan at all because at that point, even though Japan was the reason we got in the war in the first place, but at the time, it was to beat
That
Germany.
part.
It was to beat Germany because I want to acknowledge Pearl Harbor. And that's the reason because I know people gonna say that. But to get to that point, it was about the whole movie was about beating Germany and beating Russia. Strauss made sure to mention Russia while Oppenheimer kept mentioning Germany to get it because Oppenheimer was in Germany at the beginning to know the man who started the whole thing and how he got the idea. We're from a man in Germany who was his mentor, and he was like, "Yo, we gotta beat him." And for y'all to know, Hitler don't like he said the only advantage we had is Hitler kicked off all the smart people because he thought they were Jewish.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
like
the
the
only
only
reason.
thing we have. Only our best weapon is racism. Everybody's like, what? No, not that way. It's the fact that Hitler is racist. His best people is the people he hates.
Yeah, so Oppenheimer and them Oppenheimer left a few years before. Albert Einstein and them left because again, they not dealing with that. He thought all this stuff was Jewish. And shout out to Oppie. Oppie was my man was dying inside. It was a good scene at the end that I'm gonna mention, then we're gonna get off and let Joe get it final word. Is when he was saying this speech in front of the people who he was saying, and he'll say something that just look like, huh? He's like, too bad we didn't too bad we didn't do it earlier to Germany. And they were like, yeah. And he was like, we just murdered thousands of people and half of them didn't even have nothing to do with it.
I would say, honestly, had they dropped that bomb in Germany, that would have been catastrophic for Europe, period. The effects, if you were to drop two bombs anywhere in that centralized part of Europe, bro, that was going to mess Europe up for years.
And it kind of goes to like this weird obsession with being like this patriarchal, weird society in which we're better than you, so we bomb you and we gonna celebrate rather than be like, yo, I just killed a lot of people. And y'all like, I beat. By the way, a little fun note. He had two nicknames. He had two personalities. He had split personality disorder. This wasn't even going on in the movie. It was Oppen J and Oppie. Oppie was the confident dude who goes out there. They showed it in the movie, but he was actually like clinically like he had two personalities.
Oh,
Oppie,
yeah.
Oppie was the dude who was the womanizer, the dude who goes in front of the crowd and says these things. And Oppen J, what was I think it was Oppen J, if I remember my history right, would be the dude who was sad because he did all this stuff. So he'll switch personalities. That's what they showed it in the movie, but I don't know if they explained it.
They didn't go into detail, but he actually is a very antisocial hermit kind of guy.
Yeah, but Oppie, he created that personality during the time he was in school, but they didn't go in the movie to handle those situations, and they showed it in the movie because when he went, he goes deaf from hearing the crowd chant. You see him just cheer, but he can't hear nothing because he just went to Oppie. He went to Oppie. He's Oppie now, so he done went to that personality just to say what the crowd want. And Oppie J, I think that's it. Oppie J is the one that Harry Truman didn't like. So that was an interesting fact that y'all might not know. I don't think they explained in the movie. They might have if I missed it for a short scene, but it wasn't like exposed on. But yeah, he went to his Oppie character. That's why they yell Oppie, Oppie. And so it's very interesting. He can split. He can shift personalities like that. Any last words, Joe?
No, I mean, from start to finish, because that's the kind of guy that I am. I definitely wanted to try and understand that theory. Again, based off of my limited knowledge that came from the Metal Gear Solid series about nuclear deterrence and nuclear threats and things like that, I definitely wanted to understand where we came from. But so that was the fun part. I was like trying to educate myself, and I was like, man, this shit getting boring. And then like it just turned up and it just turned into something else. And it's like, that's what actually was happening in 1944 and the things that they're able to get away with. Paper files. You feel me? Like right now, people can just do a quick search as long as they have your state, your date of birth. You know what I'm saying? They can figure out anything about you. But in those days, like keeping secrets and all that stuff, like it was hard for you to figure out who's letting this stuff out. And now we're in a whole new age. Like, can you imagine something of that magnitude happening here in 2023? Oh man, it's trending. And I think that's something that we need to be careful of is some of the things that are trending, we say our quick bits about them, and maybe it's because they want to put the truth right in front of our face so that we just brush over it. But it might actually be true. And then we put out other news that's important because a lot of Black women have gone missing, and this is the one that decided to trend, and we took that super serious. But there's other times where people disappear under very odd situations and they don't trend. We just got to be careful, man. Information is a thing, and people can use information to use it against you and to change the course of history, to change a narrative, to do a lot of things. And that's what this channel does. We create narratives.
Your shout out to Sounds of Freedom last week. Like I told y'all in that movie, be careful about. Like they gave some stats at the end of the movie last week. It Sounds of Freedom. I didn't say this in the movie. I did do it in one of my reviews, but I did it multiple times so I can get the notes I wanted to get. But they gave you some stats about how many kids gonna miss. You gotta be careful with those because you start thinking it's over 500,000. It's less than that, but that's how many people are reported. Some
So
people,
we know.
yeah, but some people just run away from home and come back the next day. So also be careful of that too. So
What is the truth?
some numbers do confuse you and stuff. So be wary, and people will put what they want in front of you to make you feel a certain type of way. That's why you must trust your ass.
So, man, at what point are
Shout out
you
to
going to? At what
Shout out to
point do you feel
download
like you might officially be over that, or is this going to haunt you forever? What do you think?
I'll probably be over tomorrow.
I'm going to ask you tomorrow because we have some more reviews coming at you, such as Who Cloned Tyrone? I'm a Barbie girl. We got all that stuff coming up.
Oh, I
So
hear that controversial. I can't wait to see your opinion on it, Joe.
I can't wait to watch it with my teenage daughter.
At least you teenage, because I'm hearing this. Wow.
I don't want to have long conversations on the ride home. Why can't we just talk about why Princess Jasmine and Ariel and whatever? We can have uncomfortable conversations because that's what we do in 2023. We're open-minded to all the new ideals, and that's okay. That never mind.
All right, we're talking too long. Y'all already got here. I appreciate y'all. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Joe, what day is it?
Saturday. It's not Baller Friday today. This is not ball. No, this is not. It's Baller Weekend. That's right. Me and my big brother James about to get up on Madden, and it's going down. He thinks he can beat me with the Cleveland Browns. Well, I got something to say about that. Let's say I like to fly high. I'm going to play with the Eagles. I'm cheating. He has two really good corners and a very good running back, so I'm going to cheat and get the Eagles. I could cheat and get, but anyway, Baller Weekend. But yeah, definitely keep on tuning in for these reviews, man. I got you on the short ones, but make sure you come over all 99 Media to get the real breakdown. Because all I'm gonna do is give you the quick version on UNIQO Williams on YouTube.
And Dollar General does suck.
Oh, so I haven't dropped that on YouTube yet, but it's an exciting tale. And since I don't have anything set, because we just dropped Gideon Sleeps on the WNBA, we just dropped that reaction video. Y'all probably don't go. It's not unlawful to go to sleep. Just don't go to sleep disrespectfully at a WNBA game courtside tickets. But definitely make sure y'all check that out. But tomorrow, 100%. Barbie, Who Cloned Tyrone? Is that? Did they actually clone Jamie Foxx because he's actually dead? We'll see. Let's go.
Who are these niggas?
Yeah.